So let's do a macro view of Iran, and then let me get into some specifics of what these CHUDS are doing. And the king of all CHUDS is Tucker Carlson right now. And I find it very, very odd to me. Well, this is very odd that people that are so aggressively, and I would put myself on this spectrum, by the way. I'm on the anti-Israel spectrum, but I'm just not, I don't get up thinking about Israel every day. But I find it quite low IQ that people hate Israel so much that they're ignoring Islam. Okay? Doesn't make any sense to me at all. You know, we don't like these people over here because they have a lot of influence in our government. But these other people that have a huge problem with us because we are a Western Anglo-Saxon nation who happen to be predominantly Christian, you know, we're not off of their shit list, guys, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, you know, our men and women that have been in combat in the post 9/11 era in places like Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, etc. I don't really think that the enemy, who are all Sunni or Shia Muslims, give a shit if the Marine or the special operator on a fire team in Baghdad or Kabul is an anti-Semite. I don't think that buys them a lack of bullets headed in their direction. So I hear you. I'm with you on some of the anti-Israeli foreign influence in our government situation, but you know, please don't be a moron and think that, you know, that Islam is any better. See, two things can be true. My favorite cliche. Some of you will think that the Israeli influence on the United States, particularly with foreign policy, is a threat to our republic. But if you think that Islam is like a distant fifth threat to our republic, or anything that, forget Islam. See, that's the thing. People are getting hung up on religion. I get hung up on actions. Okay. Like, here's a perfect example. Jordan, the Kingdom of Jordan, all Muslims. Okay. You wouldn't even know a Jordanian if you saw them because they're very Western. Their women don't cover up. Okay. A lot of them are European looking. Go look at the King and Queen of Jordan. You could be walking down the street on vacation in like Vienna or Geneva and think that they're European. So don't get hung up on the religion. I get hung up on their actions, and their actions are not in the best interest of the United States. The Iranian, really satanic, forget Islam, satanic regime that is crumbled. Now, many of you who might be on the anti-Semitic spectrum like Stephen Miller because he's Mr. Let's deport every Guatemalan that ever came into this country illegally. Let's deport every brown Guatemalan and every black Somali that walked into this country. He's 100% Russian Jewish descent. You know that, right? As is his wife. So is he spared your wrath because he doesn't like Hispanics and Africans? It's a fair question. A very fair question. I don't even want to say it's hypocrisy. I don't even want consistency from you guys that disagree with me. I just want you to use your fucking brain and not be such a gullible, useful idiot. For people that are making a lot of money off of your stupidity, and there are people who don't need the money, like a Tucker Carlson. Megyn Kelly's just a mindless nothing, by the way, who 10 years ago, when she was on NBC, was doing fucking trans kids drag shows on her talk show. So I don't want to hear from her. Okay. Candace Owens, guys, a lot of these people who are supporting her, being given the fact that she's black and she's got a big mouth, I'd like to see her run that big mouth in Tehran right now and see what they do to her. That's the problem, Janet. I'll get to you in a second. That's the problem what we have here, friends. You have a lot of people that honestly have not gotten their ass kicked enough growing up or even in adult life, and they're running their mouth, male and female, by the way. They're running their Tucker Carlson, perfect example. That guy's never been in a fight in his life, and that's the problem. Okay, all of these. When did these guys on the right become so weak? Is my question. When did they become so emotional? Maybe the soy is feminizing men. Like, you don't want to, I didn't vote for this. I'm not going to die for, what do you're not dying for anything. You're not in the military. Who's asking you to die for anything? We have the most elite, superior military in the world without your sorry ass in it. So nobody's asking you to die for Israel. We're not even asking you to die for the United States. And these are the, Tucker Carlson, never been in the military. His father was never in the military. He's got several brothers, never in the military. He's got like 4 sons, all of them adults. None of them are in the military. So the way I see it, the Carlson family has not risked anything. They've done nothing. Okay. They haven't died for anything. They've profited off of everything. So you have that scenario. Nick Fuentes doesn't want to die for Israel. Okay. What does he want to do? He certainly doesn't want to do anything to get with a woman. These are weak men of all ages and weak women like Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens. By the way, Candace Owens' husband's a European, meaning he's like one of the biggest pussies. We're going to get to NATO. And those of you that are mad about gas, let me, I'm going to go to Janet in a second here because she's been waiting. Let me just uncomplicate your mind on the Strait of Hormuz, because there seems to be a lot of confusion and a lot of ignorance out there. Some of it's intentional, some of it's unintentional. So this is for everybody. Iran did not close the Strait of Hormuz, guys. They've never controlled it. The reason why oil tankers from foreign countries have not been able to export, or the reason why they're not getting their oil out of there, is because the insurance companies, mostly based in London, Lloyd's of London, we'll get to them, raised, if they didn't cancel the insurance, but they raised it a premium. Basically, they couldn't guarantee, if you get hit by an Iranian one-way attack drone, your oil tanker gets destroyed, we're not insuring it. Or I saw a 5% increase. I think it's higher. They've upped the fees on it's basically very hazardous right now. So for those of you that are pissed at Trump because your gas is expensive, you have misdirected anger, okay? Because you're either an emotional broad or a weak young man, because I see complaints out of people like, we'll say 20 to 40. There's a lot of broke bitches in this country, male and female. That's what I'm getting to. I can guarantee you guys, I'm going to have about a $24,000 tax bill being self-employed. Okay. So I don't want to hear about gas is $4. Okay. I got 2 trucks I have to fill. I don't want to hear it about people, go on your DoorDash app right now and see how much you've spent on that shit the last 2 months. It's like $50 to get sushi for 2. That could fill up your car. So don't eat sushi for 2 months. I don't know what you want me to tell you guys. I feel that Americans are really shitty with money. It's not giving me a lot of hope because people can't sustain paying extra for gas for a couple months. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. You should be ashamed of yourself that you're that financially irresponsible. Absolutely pathetic. I know single mothers that don't complain as much as the podcast bros. And they live in blue states. I'm surrounded by blue states here. When I work in these blue states, I talk to people, I hear people. Ridiculous. Um, so yeah, get mad at London, get mad at Europe, get mad at NATO because they didn't do anything to protect their investment. We don't even get oil out of the Strait of Hormuz. But you have to understand something. The price of a barrel of oil is measured on a global benchmark. So even though we get all our oil domestically from Texas or whatever, or we get it from Canada or Mexico, that's talking about us here in the US, obviously, it becomes a global problem because all of Europe uh, and parts of Asia, most of Asia actually, they get exported oil via the Strait of Hormuz from uh, the Arab countries and Central Asia. So it's not we're not even using the fucking oil that's being exported out of there. So you need to get mad at Nate at the city of London, the financial hub of the world, because they decided because they have no balls that they're not going to insure any of their tankers. And yes, I know the Iranians are mining the coast and all that, but they're not closing it. The fucking thing has never been closed. People haven't been going through it for obvious safety concerns. But they never closed the Strait of Hormuz. Guys, how do you think that Iran, when Obama's not giving them 1.5 billion of cash of our money, how do you think they've been paying for all these projects the last 47 years? It's hurting them if they closed it. So let's just get our facts correct. Let me pause here because we got some hands. Uh, Gemini, I know it's early for you, but do you have anything to say before I go to Janet and
No, my gas actually went down. It was $4.99 and now it's $4.79. So
are you listening to the CHUDS?
I'm hell
Or
no.
okay,
The chuds.
yeah,
No,
well they are. They're fucking CHUDS.
they sure are. It's
Tucker
embarrassing.
and that guy Dan Blazarian, whatever his name is, that's that meatball. That's look. I don't like Randy. What's his name either? But this is how stupid this guy is. First of all, that district that what's his name? Randy Fine is in, who wears the yarmulke. That's like the most Jewish district in all of Florida outside of Miami. And this guy thinks calling Randy Fine a fat Zionist or whatever is going to go over in a Republican primary. It's funny. All the anti-Semites live in Florida, which is like loaded with Jews. I don't understand these people. Be consistent. If you want to be a real anti-Semite, you move to like New Hampshire, Vermont, Wyoming, North Dakota, where there's no there's no Jewish people, no black people. You want to be a real bigot.
Yeah, Arizona too. Really. Come on
Arizona's,
over. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. So that's what's hilarious to me. The podcast bros all live in Florida and Tennessee and Texas, which has pockets of Jews in them. So you can't hate them that much because you won't move away from them. Janet, thanks for waiting. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good.
Yes.
Janet, I'm gonna let you keep going, but I just for me, I just so you're a little bit. I don't even care about the Jew bashing. I just it's people can do what they want. Where I'm coming from is the fact that these people are misinformed that Iran was not close to nuclear material. I didn't do a good enough job addressing that in when I started rambling this morning. It's okay. It's fine. Yeah. Well, the thing is this, Janet and everybody else in here. Again, I don't like to tone police people. If you bash who you want, I am very against dual citizens in Congress. And at this particular moment, I think 90% of the multiple passport holders are U.S. Israeli, and it's not just Schumer and Adam Schiff. It's Brian Mast in Florida. I think that Randy I don't think you have to have one passport to represent the American people in Congress. I don't care that you don't have to renounce, your American citizenship to get your mother country's poly passport. Uh, I'm sure there are other examples. I'm sure a lot of the Indian Americans in Congress they have I want to get rid of all that, and that includes there's a lot of Republicans that are in that vote as well. So they have a very good argument there. I don't believe in being, even if you're a conservative Republican who's a Jew, you should not have an Israel. You can have an Israeli passport, just don't be in Congress. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, that's not anti-Semitic. I don't even know any Jewish people. I've never. There's no temples around me. We're not a Jewish state here up north. I don't know, whatever, man. It's just you need to understand something. Um, I can agree with you that Israel has a tremendous amount, and they do on our federal government and the people within. But guys, this is my problem with the Massey people. APAC is just the beginning, guys. There's Saudi money, there's Qatari money, there's Chinese. Don't even get me started on China. Yes, APAC has a huge influence, but so do these other countries.
Okay, well,
Like, why are you singling out one?
Couple meetings and then I'll become again.
Right? Oh, because they're the biggest. Well, they're the biggest probably in the Republican Party. I agree with that. But guys, all these Democrats who you're letting off the hook right now because maybe they believe Israel's a terrorist state. Fuck, man, look at their financials. China, Chicoms, probably Pakistan, probably Saudi, probably Qatar. Why don't you have a problem with that? Oh, I do have a problem with that. I just said, you know, it's just that the Iran was, guys, let me give you a little background. The situation we were under, the status quo, we'll say, and Gene, you're on deck. Thanks for waiting. Hold on. I'm just threading the needle right here. The status quo of maybe every 7 to 10 years, like Obama tried to do, blackmailing them, or like what Europe does, turns a blind eye, like England, Germany, and France do, because they get their oil exported out of the Strait, etc. How about our allies, guys? Japan and South Korea are great allies in Asia. Okay, they get their oil out of the Strait of Hormuz as well. They didn't lift a fucking finger, man. So this is the situation we are in at large. People are not understanding this. I'm not really too keen on blackmailing Iran. Okay, and guys, if you said that there's no evidence they were not okay, so let me ask you something, Joe Kent. If you don't believe they were close to a nuke, why do people enrich uranium? Are the Iranian people, are the mullahs, who everybody is deifying right now, like Tucker Carlson, he must love Khomeini. Was Khomeini did he get a visit from Greta Thunberg and he wanted to go, did he want the Iranian regime to go green and have nuclear energy and get rid of fossil fuels? Like why else would he need nuclear material? Enriched uranium is a pathway to nuclear warheads, guys, long-range missiles. Well, that's only a threat for Israel. No, it's not, guys. There's a reason why they tested a rocket in the direction of London. See, that's the problem, is people are very, very linear in their thinking. They're like, well, India's nuclear and so is Pakistan, so they checkmate, okay? They balance it out. The United States and Russia and China, nuclear, so they balance each other out. Everybody's upset that Israel has nuclear weapons, okay? Here's the difference. I wouldn't have a problem, guys, if like Egypt had nuclear weapons, or Jordan, or even Lebanon. Okay, Jordan doesn't fund Hamas in Gaza. They don't fund Hezbollah all over the Levant. The Levant is Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Okay, so that's a huge, huge difference. You can have like a disqualifier of nations, rogue nations, like North Korea. Guys, say goodbye to if North Korea has a nuclear weapon, say goodbye to destination weddings in Hawaii and all over the South Pacific. Say goodbye to Australia. Like, they're not responsible. They're not a responsible nation. So yes, we have to pick and choose who gets them. Okay. India's nuclear, right? So is India funding terrorism in the world? As far as I know, they're not. If I'm wrong, let me know. Is China funding terror? Absolutely. They're funding North Korea. So they sent that rocket, Iran, guys, in the direction of London to prove how far they're. It's not about, all you have to do is put a warhead on that long range intercontinental, meaning going from country to country. Okay, so they're not developing these rockets, guys, just to blow up Tel Aviv. That's basic. That's like developing a rocket in Miami to destroy the city of Atlanta. Like long range missiles, guys. In fact, if Iran got nuclear capability, I think they would have attacked Europe. Why? Europe is weak. Europe has no defense system, anti-missile defense system like the United States and Israel do in other countries. That would be a soft target. Israel's not a soft target for a nuclear Iran. I mean, they have the Golden Dome, but they would, their entire existence is to prevent attacks on them, regardless of what you think of them. I don't like them, but I'm just explaining to you how they're set up. They're set up with these precautionary. I mean, I don't know if it would stop a missile with it's armed with a nuke. I don't even want to think about it. They would have taken out Europe, guys, because Europe is defenseless. And that would have forced the entire world to bend the knee to Iran. Please don't blow up Israel. Please don't blow up Paris. You just blew up London. Please don't. We'd have to deal with them in a way that would be sucking their cock. I mean, that's ridiculous, guys. I'm not gonna. Who the fuck? Have some fucking pride in your country and your. These people are animals, guys. Hate the Jews, but these Iranians, they're fucking animals. But you don't care because you can get DoorDash and Uber Eats and watch crappy fucking movies on Netflix. Oh, I don't care if North Korea is nuclear. It doesn't fucking affect me. I'm not in South Korea. I don't care if Iran's nuclear. They're just going to fucking aim it at the Jews. I don't care. Yeah. I'm sure that North Korea is going to stop at South Korea, and I'm sure that Iran's going to stop at Israel. Yeah, they'll just stop firing nuclear missiles after they blow Tel Aviv up. Fucking retard. I'm not going to die for Israel. You're not dying for anything. You're fucking living in an apartment with air conditioning, and you get sushi delivered to your door. I don't want to hear it. It's a problem is people have not gotten their ass kicked enough in life, metaphorically speaking and literally speaking, like Tucker Carlson. He's never had his ass kicked at any of the prep schools he went to. That's part of his problem. He runs that mouth with no consequence. No president should insult Islam. Fuck you. Who does Trump think he is? He's the most powerful guy in the world, and you are a middle-aged chud who's never gotten in a fight in your life and probably backed down from a lot of fights. That's why you're running that mouth. Candace Owens, you don't think that she pulled the what? Because she used to be a Republican. You don't think, oh, you can't, growing up, you don't think she leveraged being a black woman? Please. I guarantee you, if you look at her MySpace from 20 years ago, you can't say that to me. I'm an African-American woman. Fuck you. But you all love her now because she's fucking shitting all over Israel and thinks that Erica Kirk is a fucking sociopathic manipulator. Please. If this woman wasn't talking about Israel or Erica Kirk, you guys would all be, these people would be calling her the N-word. I know a fucking phony on an app, and I know one in real life, and I'm running into a lot of them right now. Gene, thanks a million for waiting. Go ahead.
Hey, Gads. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I just want to say, Gads, and I'm going to kind of take this to another perspective. You know, nobody wants more veterans, more damaged guys and girls. Nobody wants their kid drafted. You know, I have many, many friends that are veterans that have brought concerns to my table. You know, about their kids, their grandkids getting drafted. You know, real life problems for real life people, right? I mean, you know, none of us are up there, you know, sword fighting, you know, whoever we need to sword fight, right? We're just down here trying to be Americans and live our life and raise our families. And, you know, and I gauge the temperature, Gads, of the people around me. I'm constantly talking to people, even just in my direct environment, of how they feel, how they're very overwhelmed. They feel overwhelmed. I don't think they're pussies at all. These are hardworking people that have blue collar jobs that are busting their fucking ass, trying to make a living for their families. I see concern. I don't see wussing out. I see people just voicing their concern. They even have YouTube channels on it. People just very worried that they can't afford their life or to live or to feed their families. You know, that's how I see it. And then, of course, the veteran perspective. You know, I just, I don't see any good coming out of this at all. I just don't. Forgive me. I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can. But you know, I just from talking from regular people, regular everydays like you and me, I'm gauging the temps of people around me, and I feel concern and worry the most. Thank you for letting me talk, Gats.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for waiting. And I know whereabouts you live, and I'm very familiar with that area, Gene. And I can tell you, I think, and I know you're going to take this very well because, you know, I'm a neighbor of you, kind of. Like that state's got bigger problems than the war in Iran. This is the
You get that right.
This is the state of Massachusetts, guys, which is basically a non-functioning. So what I would say, Gene, and this is stuff I know you've probably gleaned in the news. The problem, Massachusetts might be one of the states on the East Coast that has true affordability. That word actually, that cliche actually fits in Massachusetts because of it's got the highest electrical rates, I think, in the country. People there, I understand why you're hearing that down there, but just it's about 100 miles north of you where I am, the blue collar people are at least not to me, and I'm around them all day. They're not, and we all drive trucks, obviously. Nobody's really complaining about gas because they're not paying the high utility rates of the blue states. They're not paying the taxes. Massachusetts has got, I think the situation here may have made it worse, but I mean, right now, you've lost more, Massachusetts has lost more businesses than even California at scale, I think. I mean, people are leaving that state in droves. And this goes even before Biden. This is like a generational problem in Massachusetts. So I can see why people are discouraged. And thank you for being optimistic. But I'm going to say you're correct, but you're in a very unique situation, which is not exemplary of the rest of the country, I think, because of the shitty government you have there on a state level. So I absolutely believe that for Massachusetts. But look at, for those of you that might not have seen it, we flipped one of the rare Democrat districts in Alaska in a special election on Tuesday for, I think it was state senate. It was the one part, I think it was in Anchorage. It was like the one part of Alaska that Kamala won by +8 versus Trump, and they flipped it. So I think that you have a situation, and by the way, Alaska is a low cost of living state because there's not a lot of people there, and it's, believe it or not, Alaska's got cheap taxes and all that, et cetera, because they make a lot of money off their resources, obviously. I think the red states are going to be fine. That's why I don't worry about people being discouraged about the operation in Iran affecting the midterms. But for those of you in blue states, the situation was never good, even since Trump's been back in office. And the reason why you hear that word affordability, I'm going to tie this into London. The reason why it's expensive as shit to live in New York, et cetera, and California and the deep blue states, it's not because of the price of steak or the price of eggs, guys. It's insurance. It's not even rent. Rent is high, but rent is high nationwide. That's not really a blue state. It's a little bit worse than the blue states, but rent is high everywhere, guys, because that's a housing thing. Different conversation. But the reason why you hear Americans, I mean, about gas and meat and all that, that's not why people are having problems affording things. It's insurance. Look at the price of car insurance in New York. Look at the price of car insurance and home insurance in Massachusetts, California, even Florida, a deep red state in Florida. Insurance is expensive. How many dozens of eggs do you buy a month? Let's just say you buy a dozen a week. I'm going to be generous, right? That's fucking, we'll say for the sake of argument, $25 a month in eggs. How much do you spend on your car insurance or your home insurance in New York or even Florida? one deep blue state, one deep blue state, one deep red state. Hundreds of dollars, guys. So that's why I've never, people are not complaining about affordability because of the price of steak. It's because your overhead is high. And that's a nationwide problem. Blue states are worse, but there are some red states like Florida because of the hurricanes, which it's very hard to get affordable insurance. We talk about price gouging at the gas pump. You guys are being gouged on your insurance. And by the way, I had Lloyd's of London because I live on the ocean, guys, and I have coastal property. So this is just since 2013 when I moved back to New Hampshire, right? From Boston. In 2013, we had USAA for home insurance. Okay, then they dumped us like a year after moving back. So like 2014, I had to go insurance shopping. I got Lloyd's of London. Okay. We had a fucking coastal flood in 2015 in the winter. So when they came to renew my policy, they dropped me saying they don't insure coastal property in the state of New Hampshire in the United States. Okay, fine, whatever. I got Vermont Mutual now since then. So I have a Vermont company insuring, which is nowhere near the fucking Atlantic Ocean. Well, it is, but you know what I'm saying. Insuring a coastal property. So I had Lloyd's of London, and I know the games they're playing. So again, because there's more people in here, let's get the facts straight on the Strait of Hormuz, guys, okay? Let me uncomplicate the mind fuck that's going on right now on this app. I want to make it very, very clear. When you hear the chatter and that Iran closed, they never closed it. Yes, South Korea, you could send a tanker in. Yes, Saudi Arabia, you could send a tanker in, but we've lined it with mines because of the Americans and the Israelis. We're not saying you can't come in. We're just saying you're on your own. We have to protect ourselves because we're being attacked by the U.S. and Israel. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? This is, and Lloyd's of London insures a lot of the European oil tankers, whether they're from France, whether they're from the UK, whether they're from even the Nordic countries like Sweden and Finland. All these oil tankers go through. Maybe even some of the Japanese ones are insured by Lloyd's of London. The insurance companies, for all intents and purposes, guys, closed the quote unquote closed the Strait of Hormuz because they raised rates in a price gouging move because it's a state of kinetic war in the strait at the moment, which is true. Okay. Iran never shut down the Strait of. So anytime you go into Mario's room or the DeSantis people that are still lingering around that are using this opportunity to dogpile Trump, they never closed it. Okay, the Ayatollahs and the regime never closed the Strait of Hormuz. They lined it with mines. Why do you think Trump was so mad about 3 weeks ago when the Royal Navy wouldn't send any minesweepers in? When they say Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz and Trump should have known better, there's not like a fucking gate up at the end of the strait saying Europeans, Japanese, Saudis, you can't come in here. There's no like Tolman. It's not the Panama Canal, guys.
I'll be honest.
It's just people are like mad ignorant about stuff that's going on here. It's frustrating. And they're saying, well, Trump didn't think about Iran weaponizing the strait. Okay, well, they didn't they weaponized it by mining it and perhaps being threatening attack. They didn't erect a floating gate. So oil tankers from Europe couldn't get in there, guys.
Yo, I'm gonna be for real. No one gives a singular fuck.
I took him out.
There's another guy who hasn't been in a real fight, Mike.
Idiot.
Another broken bitch boy. So just continuing, guys, like I'm really, really sorry that you have a problem paying $1.50 more for a gallon of gas. But I got to be honest with you. I'm going to talk to you like adults, and you can feel free to fucking, tell me I'm wrong or whatever. I understand you work hard for your money, but guys, if you are in a position where for like 6 weeks, and this is what kills me about MAGA people bitching about this. You just went through 4 years of Biden where gas never got close to like $2.50 a gallon. 4 years versus not even 2 months yet, and people are complaining. Like, so if you've got a problem, guys, with for a month paying like 15% more for the amount of gas you fill your car up with or cars up with, that's not a Biden problem. That's not a Trump problem. That's not a war problem. That's a you problem. That's a you suck with money problem. So, like, don't go to the vape store. This is a good opportunity to stop smoking. This is a good opportunity to stop spending your money on DoorDash. This is a good opportunity to cancel Hulu or Netflix. Guys, this is you have to be an adult and not worry about what the government's going to do and not going to do. And trust me, a lot of people that are bitching, I have 5x the bills a month that they do. I'm talking about like single dudes that live in apartments, that don't have any children, that know nothing, a family, no tuition bill. And yes, that was my choice. But you know what? It looks pretty bad when my expenditures per month are 3 times what yours are, and I can afford it. I don't even complain about it. That's the good thing about making a lot of money, guys. You can afford bumps in the road that are out of your control. And I work with my hands, so I don't want to hear this shit that, you're a rich boy, fucking faggot rich boy. I don't want to hear any of that shit out of your mouths, okay? I can guarantee you my hands are going to be blacker and dirtier than yours are at the end of the day. And that's why I clean my fingernails every night. And why? And you might think, why do I clean my? You know why? Because that's money. Those are 20s and 10s going into my checking account. Every grain of dirt I get out from under my fingernails every night, that looks like money to me. So that's really where I'm at, guys. I'm a very hard worker. I have a lot of stress in my life. I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't have any stress in their life other than paying their rent and complaining about shit. That's why I completely understand now. Chris, you're on deck, buddy. I completely understand now why my father, my grandfather, my uncles told me to shut the fuck up when I was 18, 19, like up to 23 or 24. Because I knew nothing and I knew less than nothing then. And now 30 years later, I can completely understand why the men in my life who were my role models told me to shut the fuck up and go to work. I never thought that this country owed me a home. I never thought that this country owed me 99 cents a gallon gas. And when you learn that lesson at fucking 18 or 23 instead of 50, maybe you won't be such a broke bitch. Male and female broke bitch. That's a multi-gender term right there. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just wanted to say, if you guys are complaining about gas prices, there's an app called what is it? Let me look at it. It's for
Gas
gas
Buddy?
prices. Yep, no, it's something like that. The Upside app. And basically you get 12 to 30 cents off. So for all you people complaining about gas, once you get that app and I'll invite you and I can get more money off. And then you can invite your friends and you can continue to get money off. And then when the prices go down, you still will get money off. So I don't know. I'm just sick of the complaining about everything. So I'm just kind of sitting back and watching it all happen, I guess. But thanks for the mic.
Yeah, thanks for that tip, too. I mean, this is the thing. 4 years of Biden, never heard any of this. 4 years of Biden, never heard any of this bullshit about gas. Maybe once in a while when it, when Putin went into Ukraine, it really did in the winter of 2023, I think, or 22. Never heard anything otherwise, but 2 months, oh fuck, man, I can't swing it. I'm broke. Pathetic.
And Gads, I'm just gonna say, I work a lot. I make good money. The 4 years of Biden, we were struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, and right now we are making lots of money. So I'm gonna, I guess, pay a little extra for gas, in that sense. And do we want soldiers dying in Iran? No, we do not. But this is for America, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. And nobody wants soldiers and Marines to die less than President Trump. Believe me. You know why? Because he's the one that makes that decision. We don't, not anybody in here, but we collectively as Americans, we don't decide who the military lives and dies at the president's command, guys. Okay? Those 13 we've lost is 13 too many. 100 dead Iranian IRGC animals are not worth one Marine or one Ranger's life. Okay? We're all clear on that. We understand that. Well, what about your son? Okay, yeah. When my son's 18 and he says, I want to join the military, Dad, all right? Or my daughter for that matter. I'm going to tell them how I feel about it. My wife's going to tell them how she feels about it. But they're 18, guys. They're eventually, they will make their decision with my input, but they're still going to make their decision. I can't control them. And those of you who think you shouldn't let your kids go in the military because they're going to die for Israel, that's great. You try telling an 18-year-old football player that, who's got a seek and destroy attitude. Those of you who have had daughters, you try telling an 18-year-old college senior young woman what to do. Good luck with that. It's a fucking joke. I swear to God, we are living in a simulation depending on how you look at it. Again, depending on how you look at it. And by the way, Chris, I just want to echo your comments. I looked at my investments yesterday, and I know that the quote-unquote straight reopened, which I just told you, it was never closed, but I'll use that terminology for the CHUDS in here. The straight reopened. I made like $1,400 on this one, and that goes up and down. It's not like not a big flex. I'm just telling you. This particular fund I have that has like NVIDIA in it, Palantir, from like Monday night to yesterday morning, I looked at it. I put a little bit a month in that. That went up like $1,400 in value. That package of stocks I have, just this one particular company I use, in like 36 hours. That was up $1,400. And there's like, I don't know, $22,000 in that right now. I just opened it a year ago. I don't put a lot into it every month, but that's so yeah, it was like 23 and change. So it went up. That's pretty damn good, guys. So to Chris's point is the economy is better now, guys. Housing is still hard. I get housing and insurance are hard. But everything else, guys, it's not just the stock market that's doing it. The jobs are doing well, and this is with cutting federal jobs. So more people that were having these cushy jobs for the government are matriculating to the private sector, and it's showing up on the financials now. I really don't understand how anybody is struggling for money right now, unless you live in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, California. And by the way, Chris lives in Illinois, a deep blue state with a terrible governor. And he just told you he's making bank right now after 4 years of struggling under Biden. So I don't want to hear this shit from people. I really don't. You are the master of your own destiny. You're in a bad situation. You need to move. This country doesn't owe you anything. And it doesn't owe you cheap gas either. You have to prepare for that. Guys, the days of 90, when I graduated high school in 1997, when I had my first pickup truck, gas was 98 cents a gallon. Okay, but what happened? 9/11 happened. We have permanent disarray in the Middle East forever, guys. Even after this Iran situation gets taken care of, we're never going back to 98 cents a gallon gas, ever. So just get that shit out of your mind. Or those of you that are older, when you were buying cars that didn't have power steering and carburetor, you were paying 50 cents a gallon in the 60s. Congratulations. That was like a million years ago. We're never going back to that, guys. Not since the two towers went down, and our entire focus is on various rogue states in the Middle East that can really hold the world hostage in certain circumstances. By the way, they were doing that without nuclear capability. Now imagine just Iran having it, how they would be manipulating. We're not going to use them even on Israel, not even on the Zionists. But guess what? We have a nuclear arsenal now. So guess what? Even though we're not going to fire them at your beloved Jews, neocons, guess what the cost of getting a oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz is now? It just went up 20% because we're a nuclear nation now. And they would be fucking with us. So guys, you think oil is going to be $200 a barrel because of Trump? What do you think the Iranians are going to do when they have nuclear capability? Do you think that your fucking gas is going to be cheaper? They're going to manipulate the shit and exploit the shit out of them being a nuclear state. Because then their unpredictability factor would go up like 1,000-fold. Why isn't Tucker Carlson? Maybe Trump is right. He is a low IQ person who chuckles at all of his own stupid quirks. There's no evidence. By the way, there's no evidence that Iran was close to a nuclear weapon. Is the new masks protect me and you from the spread of infection? All right. Right now, if you are listening to Joe Kent and telling me that there was no evidence that Iran was close to a nuclear arsenal, okay? And by the way, it doesn't have to be 2 weeks, motherfucker. It could be within a year or two. That's being close to nuclear capability. That is the same. You're in the same bucket as a human being. You're the same degenerate that told me that a mask is going to save me. Wearing a mask is going to protect them from dying from an upper respiratory virus. You are now a COVIDista, in my opinion. Now we have a choice, guys, to get up every day, and you could get up, and I'm not going to tell you, you could hate Israel all you want, but if you think for a second, and I don't like 90% of what the Israeli government does at all. I think they're master manipulators of the West. All right? Absolutely, I'm on board with that. And I support your right to hate them all you want. But if you think for a nuclear Iran is like a low-key problem versus Israeli influence, then you're either being retarded on purpose, which is possible, or your confirmation bias is so bad and you need your feelings validated so bad, or you just don't like losing arguments to fucking strangers on the internet. Any of those is pathetic, by the way, in no particular order. Susie, you haven't spoken yet. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, speaking of gas prices, I don't know if you've all been paying attention to what's going on in Ireland. They're protesting massively against gas prices. Never mind that they have an influx of Islamist crazy people that are hurting their, that get everything paid for and whatnot. So now they're sending the army after these protesters, the trucks and the lorries and whatnot that are blocking streets and blocking ports of entry. farmers in particular are getting hit really hard. Their diesel prices have gone up considerably. And it's not because of Iran, it's because of their government wanting to be all green. So, I guess they can put peat moss in their gas tanks or get some solar panels for their car or go EV, which is ridiculous for tractors and lorries. But yeah, they're protesting there. Now they've sent out the army against their own people. That's going to be really interesting. At some point people break. Maybe Ireland is the canary in the coal mine because they've got a lot of problems over there. And if they didn't have such a influx of these people that don't belong there, and they're getting all kinds of benefits. They're getting all kinds of housing, and their own people are turning up homeless because of this. The women aren't safe over there. It's really pretty sad. So wasn't sure if anybody knew about that.
Well, yeah, but see, Susie, we turned a blind, in Tucker Carlson's mind, we turned a blind eye to that because the Irish are white people with ginger hair. So they're not there. He's conveniently not going to talk about the military being sent out to quell protests in Ireland. In Iran, they've been doing it for 47 years, and he doesn't seem to have a problem with that because he's a Muslim cleric and a chud is what Tucker Carlson is right now. So
yeah, I don't understand his flip. He was all in for Trump, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. These people, honestly, what kind of game were they playing? Did they have us all wrapped and then they suddenly turn? Was that the plan all along? I've got no patience for these people. I'm done with it. We've got serious problems in this country. We've got imams these nieces from the Soleiman, the guy we blew up in the Trump first administration in Iraq. His little nieces are running around like fucking whores in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the women, if there's one stray hair, they get 76 lashes. And now they're crying because they're in an ICE facility. Well, guess what? Rubio's got another 3,000-4,000 of them on his list to get rid of. And you know what? Some of these dudes and women are teaching our children in universities. Some of them teaching law. Seriously? You're going to teach us about the law? Get out of here. Absolutely get out of here. This is a huge problem that we've got crazy people in our universities from these foreign countries, these Muslim countries, and they're teaching our young people. Go be a plumber. Go be a truck driver. Get out of the universities, honestly. Anyway, sorry about the rant.
No, it's okay. On that note, though, because you brought up something about trades and all that. So for those of you who think that I'm just cure some of the demoralization that people are through. AI is not replacing every job, guys, because I don't know if you realize this, but you're going to need electricians to work all this AI and generate all this power. So last time I checked, you can't chat GTP your way to solving it. Trust me, guys, I'm a technician. I do diagnostics all the time. AI is never replacing plumbing or electrical. Never. AI can tell you how to frame a house. They can't frame it for you. Okay. Elon Musk is never going to build a robot they can measure 16 on center, but they can't deal with variables. What's a variable? Oh, well, guess what? This blueprint you downloaded from AI about how to frame your fucking garage. Guess what? The building inspector just came by and said you can't go up another 10 feet to put a loft on top of your 2-car garage. So how are you going to solve that one, robot? How are you going to solve that one, dipshit? Chris, go ahead. And then, sorry, Janet, I just noticed you. Chris, go first, and then we'll go to Janet.
I was going to say AI is in our company, and most of you guys know where I work, but it's not taking over. They need us to go out in the field to actually do the manual labor. They can engineer it with AI, and they actually, like you said, Gads, they run into so many different issues because you're not out in the real world. So you're going off of Google Maps. So some footages and some different things that they wouldn't take into consideration a person walking with a foot, measuring the footage is going to find that stuff where AI is not going to. So it's not going to take over the trades. So I've been talking about with my son, who's a junior in high school. I'm talking to him about going into the trade possibly. So it's a great place to work, and they're not going away. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and I could tell you guys know I start my 20s. I was in the office. Okay, in my 20s I was like John Hamm in Mad Men. Okay, I had a very prestigious job at a young age with all the cliches of, fucking, uh, fancy suits and dry cleaning and Italian belts and all that. And, interns wanted to get in my pants, and some of them I did I lived that life. And I got to tell you, in my 30s, I switched to construction, and I'm making a lot more money now. Because, there's just there is a deficit in this. And if you're worried about AI, guys, you should be worried if your kids are going into medical. I know that sounds crazy. That's where Elon is correct. If they're going into medical or they're going into engineering or any other bullshit job, yeah, they should be afraid. If they go anything that requires hands-on, it's not just trades. There's a million surveying, all that stuff. That will not be not while they're alive. I mean, I can't talk about 200 years from now. You got to remember, when these tech guys, that they're visionaries. They're thinking about a millennia down the road. Yeah, probably in the 23rd century, robots are going to be doing everything for you. But we're all going to be dead and buried. Our kids are all going to be dead and buried. Our grandkids are all going to be dead and buried after hopefully long, productive lives. Don't let that discourage you. People are so discouraged about AI. For fuck's sake, my life is half over, guys. I can't worry about what my great grandson's going to have to deal with in the 22nd century. It's just, I can't. My great grandson who's not born yet, I can't think about that shit. Stop worrying about stuff that you have no control over. It turns you into brain rot. Okay.
Just like Iran, Gads. Just like Iran. Why are we worrying? Why are these people worrying about it?
Yep. Why are you worried about dying for Israel when you're not in the military, Chris? That's not you. I'm saying that's a general question to everybody. That I don't understand whatsoever. Okay, I have a little bit of grace for people that are active duty, that because they have a right to question it, but they're under orders. They took an oath. They took an oath. You think my father liked being in the military when Bill Clinton was president? A guy who dodged the draft while my father had to go into the military. You think he had any respect for that fucking guy? Okay. Never heard my father say, I'm not dying for Bill Clinton as commander in chief, and he hated him. He despised him. So again, this goes back to a lot of empty words from wannabe tough people. Okay. And a lot of these Maha moms are starting to get under my skin now too. Because, they're obsessed with the Epstein thing, because they've got nothing to do all day than be in these wine and book club groups while their husbands are working, ranting about Epstein. They're all conspiracy detectives that are listening to Candace Owens and Liz Crokin and people like that. And of course, they're against Trump on the war too. So I didn't vote for this. I'm a Maha. I voted to not have dyes in my kids' fucking lunch snacks. Okay, well, I didn't vote for Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, yet you seem to give them a lot of respect on issues because they're validating your insecurities about, you have this preconceived notion that Trump is protecting Jewish pedophiles. You can't prove it, but he's doing it. And that's my biggest complaint with Joe Kent, guys. Janet, 2 seconds. Thanks for holding on. Joe Kent, guys, if you saw my post last night, okay, he was on Piers Morgan, which is home ice advantage for the dude. Okay. Will Chamberlain, who I don't even like, okay, did an excellent job. I don't like any of these Matt Walsh adjacent to simps. Okay, I don't like any of them. Will Chamberlain, another guy who's never been in a fight, never had his ass kicked, did an excellent job last night, or whenever it was filmed, telling Joe Kent, so you know more than Pete Hegseth and Trump and General Kane. Why didn't you tell them? I tried. I mean, Joe Kent's little podcast tour, guys, is coming to an end. He's kind of outlived his usefulness on this subject matter. He has no evidence, and his department, his anti-terrorism part of DNI, had nothing to do with the domestic investigation, because Charlie Kirk was not killed in Zimbabwe or Afghanistan. He was killed in fucking Utah. I don't know if Joe Kent realizes this, but Utah is on American soil. So therefore, it is a domestic FBI, DOJ investigation. Okay. So, like, the CIA is not investigating Charlie Kirk's assassination. That's between the state of Utah and the DOJ. So I don't know what the fuck that guy's talking about. What's worse is I don't know why you people are believing it. I know he has a very impressive military career and a tragedy in his life, and you want to believe him because his resume is so impressive, and I'll never take that away from him. But eventually, you have to have some riz. You have to have some sizzle. Okay, you can't just say, well, I know Israel forced Trump into the war. Well, how do you know that, Joe? Well, it's classified. Well, and by the way, he went on Mark Levin. Well, guys, Mark Levin's equally polarizing. Joe Kent knew exactly what he's doing. He knows that 60% of the MAGA base hates Mark Levin, and he's a hardcore Zionist. He's not getting interviewed by real, in my opinion, real journalists that are like Bill O'Reilly, who's old as shit, but he asks good questions. People in that mold, Patrick Bet-David, etc. So the Joe Kent podcast tour, he's run out of friendlies to be interviewed with, and he's done. Janet, go ahead.
Well, I just want to go back real quick to what you were saying about no proof that they were close to nuclear weapons. Well, if you go back and listen to Biden, whatever, both of them, and even back when Clinton was president, they talked about them working towards nuclear power or nuclear weapons or whatever type thing. And you just have to go back and research. I mean, but people don't want to do that. They don't want to look into anything because it's too much work. Just like dating. Oh, it's too much work. She wants me to hold her hand and talk to her and pick flowers. It's just sad. But what I wanted people to realize is, every single dental office where you have x-rays or a clinic or a hospital or any of these things, guess what? They have a procedure you have to follow when it comes to radiation waste. You have to put it in certain things. You have to follow procedures, or you can be shut down. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that. But if you have enough of that waste and you can collect it and purify some of the radiation isotopes, you can add that to, like, let's say the Boston bombers, the two brothers that used, a pressure cooker and a few other things to put bombs out in backpacks. Fill that up with some of that. What do you think is going to happen? If we don't follow this stuff and get rid of these people, they're going to attack us on our soil. Our borders were open for many, many, many years. And a lot of these people were secretly flown in the middle of the night by our own government to different states. We already seen that. Even Tucker talked about that a few years ago. had interviews talking about people on the other side of the border waiting and training to come here, blah, blah, blah. For people to just believe everything he's saying now simply because they agree with some of he's saying, but not believe some of the shit that he said 5 years ago, that's what I don't understand. You follow people, you listen to what they say, and you find out whether or not they're consistent. Well, guess what? I can go back and watch videos and recordings of Trump from 20 years ago, and guess what? He's saying the same shit. Just like I said, Gadsden's always said the same thing since I've known him, since I've been following him since the beginning of Spaces. A bunch of people that I follow, I like consistency because that proves truth. That proves that people are saying the same thing because they have proof for it. If they say one thing one year and then next year they're saying the total opposite, are you going to actually believe what they're saying? No. If you have common sense, you're not. So it's up to us to read, research on our own, just like if you were sitting down and doing the homework with your son or your daughter. You're not going to give them a bunch of shit that you just pulled out of your ass and say, here, put that on your paper and good luck at school. I mean, you're going to help them find facts. And you should do the same thing when it comes to things that you're going to post and talk about with other people. Or you're going to root and die on a hill full of lies. I mean, it's pathetic and sad that we have Americans that actually go to work, pay taxes, and believe all this shit. That's what I don't understand. I trust Trump because everything he's done has proved me that he's trying to do the best he can with what he has in his basket. With being dragged to court every time you turn around, every single judge, Supreme Court in every state, constantly saying, no, you can't do that. You have to go this, you have to do that. And he's doing it. He's trying to do it by the Constitution. He's following the laws. He's trying to do it. That's why it's slow. It's going to take a long time because he's actually doing it. He's not standing up there saying, well, our troops need to get on food stamps. He's trying to do something to help the troops. Help them have more money, have better stuff at the bases, stuff like that.
So Janet, regarding consistency, though, because you made a good point there.
Yeah.
Iraq, okay?
Yep.
Now, Iraq was a case where there was no evidence that Saddam Hussein had anything close to nuclear armament, and yet that's why Bush, claims that they did. Why was there an Iran nuclear deal signed by Obama and John Kerry and Susan Rice in 2015 or whatever? Because that would imply they had access to nuclear materials. So Trump is being consistent.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But also the other thing I wanted to add before I get off the mic is the fact that I remember in Trump's first administration when we were paying $2 and something a gallon in Arkansas and California was paying $6 and something a gallon. Well, it's not because of Trump. It's because your state taxes are different than they are in the state I live in also. And people are too dumb to understand that state taxes affect your gas. I mean, I just brought it up. It only took me seconds. It says that state tax rates like right now in California are 13.3%, Hawaii 11%, New York 10.9%, New Jersey 10.75%, Oregon 9.9%. You can go down the whole list and look. North Carolina is 5.2. So why would an idiot, actually think that it's all on Trump because the taxes in California are 13.3 when North Carolina's is 5.25. It's monotonous how you just sit around and listen to these people just throw chunks out and the sharks are swimming around gobbling it up and sharing it like it's gospel. You've got to start.
It's chum. We put chum in the water, not chunks when we're fishing. Sorry.
It's all right. Go ahead.
It's
That's
chum.
all. I'm just tired of it. It's just that it takes 2 seconds to Google. If you're on this show and listening to this and you don't even know how to use Google or DuckDuckGo or any other app to find out stuff for yourself and then read and try to say, well, this sounds stupid and this sounds smart and just believe whatever you want, that's not on anyone but yourself, period. That's just the way it is. That's reality. Grow up.
No, I agree. Thank you.
Well,
All
well,
good.
Janet's bringing the fire this morning. Thank you, Janet.
I
Yeah.
always do
And
Well,
well,
hold on, ladies. I
it's
just want
so
to I just want to redirect something in the nest because I don't know if you guys are looking at it, if you're driving or not looking at your phone. I want you to bookmark these before I forget because I might just clean it out. 1 second here. Okay, so that interview, somebody asked me about that in the DM while Janet was talking. That's up in the nest there, that Piers Morgan Uncensored with Joe Kent. So there's the clip with Will Chamberlain, so you could see. I'm interested in your thoughts to see if his podcast tour is over. I think it is. Free Speechless. That's a sunrise, more or less, where I live, so you can kind of see what it's like here, where I'm at. I'm at work far, like 30 miles from there, but that's basically my area, the town adjacent. Nice little sunrise this morning on the Atlantic. And then lastly, I always like to give the Massey updates. So if you look at that poll, big data poll, so it's kind of a mainstream outlet, but it's basically neck and neck in that primary. So him getting removed as one of the biggest, in the Kentucky primary for that congressional seat, Massey losing his primary as an incumbent, as one of the biggest critics of the biggest Republican critic of the administration, is going to go a long way to push back the pushback that Trump's been getting on basically everything, whether it's, I mean, if this Epstein thing had legs, then in a very red district in Kentucky that Massey wins all the time, why is he going to lose to a guy with no political experience, right? If Trump's protecting Jewish pedophiles, then Massey should be, who's been leading the charge against Pam Bondi and the administration for quote unquote covering shit up. Why is he about to lose after 14 years in office? I mean, it's a fair question. Be skeptical about Epstein, but if your key messenger on that is Thomas Massey, well, he's about to lose his fucking job in Congress to a guy who's never run for anything. Ed Gallery. So I don't often say this. I would ask all of you, even if you don't live in Kentucky, which is all of us, I think, to send Ed Gallery $5 to $25. I'm going to do it. I might give him 50. It is so important that Massey lose that seat. Chris, go ahead.
I would say that is showing that the elections are being cleaned up as well, because I'm guessing he is a person that definitely took advantage of that. So that's just my opinion, of course.
Yeah, and Chris, that's a good point. I did some homework on that district about 6 months ago when I knew that Trump was going to endorse a warm body to run against him. So Kentucky 4 is Louisville, and what's happened is Trump's won it basically. Like when he ran for president 3 times, he got 63 to 65% each time. Each of the last three cycles. So Massey, it really doesn't have, even though it's a very red district, the Kentucky Democrat Party has not really run a candidate against him since like 2018. He ran unopposed, I think, in 2020 during COVID. In 2022, he had a left-leaning independent run against him, and he gets like 75% of the vote. Okay, so he really hasn't had a challenger. Like what's a hotly contested? You remember like that district in fucking Nashville about in the fall that guy won, who kind of came in, again, no political experience. He kind of came in and ran against that lunatic Democrat in a special election that said, I don't even like Nashville. Remember that? She would have been like a squad member if she got elected. Okay. Very left wing. That was like the last hype where you like, holy shit, Nashville could go Democrat or Republican. Massey's never had to deal with that. He's never had a high profile Democrat run against him. And he hasn't really had a Republican that got Trump's endorsement, you know? So he's up against it. And his fundraising, this is the tell, guys, that he's fucked, is his money is coming in from out of state. So this is a guy that's been in that district since 2010. So he's, on his seventh term every 2 years, or eighth term. And he's not getting the Kentucky GOP money. He's not getting the local Republican donor money in a very reliable district. And so make no mistake, guys, if Ed Gallerine wins, which it looks like he's going to beat Massey, the Democrats aren't going to win that seat. It's like you think, oh, there's Republican turmoil. That means it's an opportunity for us. It's this chaos. Massey and Gallerine are tearing each other to pieces. Let's nominate a squad, an AOC type, who said, a Somalian, and they're not doing that. So this seat's, if Gallerine beats Massey, he's winning that seat in November. I mean, it's academic at this point. And like Chris is saying, with cleaner elections, I think what's happening is Louisville is a small, big city known for college hoops and college football. So maybe you have a lot of kids that go to Louisville that are from whatever, New Jersey, Illinois, and maybe they've been voting. I don't know. But all of it is, the point is it's looking good for Ed Gallerine.
Okay, Gads, you would think
Yep.
a lot of kids from Ohio are going there as well,
Yes.
because it's right across the border.
Exactly. And this is like JD Vance's area. There's a lot of people from that area. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're on that Ohio side of Kentucky, right? So it's definitely flyover country Americana there. And I think what's happened is people just go in and they just vote a straight Republican ticket. Like they vote for, sadly, Mitch McConnell or Rand Paul, and then, in that district, Massey, and or Daniel Cameron or something. They just, straight Republican. They just don't think about it. Now they have a choice. So people in Appalachia are not believing this Epstein bullshit with Trump and Bondi, that they're hiding something. That's a big benchmark. Like, I don't give a fuck if the Republicans in New York or New Jersey or Massachusetts believe Trump and Pam Bondi. They're irrelevant. This is Kentucky, where Massey's from, is a very MAGA area. And there you could say that they are the base, and they're not buying Massey's theatrics. So again, when people tell you that the midterms are a toss-up, I can agree with that, but they're not a toss-up in Trump's base districts, okay? If you follow me, right? So that's kind of the download on the situation in Kentucky 4. If you guys follow me. Any questions on that, let me know. As an outsider, I've spent a lot of time looking into Kentucky and the machinations. Like Mitch McConnell, guys, you guys remember that she used to go into space as a nice lady. I think she used to go on pirate radio. Her name was JWoww. Nice lady.
J-Will.
Yes, you remember her? So she lived in Kentucky she's really active. She hated Mitch McConnell and all. She said, I've been involved in the Kentucky GOP my whole life, and I'd never met anybody who voted for Mitch McConnell. Like, they would always vote for like the broke conservative that would run them in the, because he'd been senator there like 40 years. So, yeah, I mean, there's voter fraud, maybe not in Louisville, but there is voter fraud in Kentucky, guys, because Mitch McConnell has not been organically, reelected since 1975 or 1980, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Hey, Gads, I don't know if you see it, but
yeah.
Janet's waving her hand.
I just wanted to jump in real quick. I just wanted, because what you did when you said that you would
Go ahead. Yep.
offer to pay money to help that other person in Kentucky, and he's not even your state, right? That is exactly what helps us, especially when we support other countries sometimes, or we help other states from one state to another, because whether you want to believe it or not, when that state becomes stronger and more independent to take care of itself, it helps your state. It helps our economy. It all works around that way. And I just wanted to add that. And I wanted people to hear that, because I've done that. I have voted because I have relatives in Texas and Florida, and a lot of stuff that pops up that they're talking about getting rid of a judge, you know, that keeps letting pedophiles out, stuff like that. So I'll donate money to Florida for the cause to try to get that person taken off the bench, things like that. Because to me, when that state is stronger and they do more things and pass laws, it might make my state pass another law or help another state, or encourage another state to do it. I know some people think, oh, that's bullshit, it doesn't make a difference. But I'm telling you, if you think about it common sense wise, I believe it does. And I just wanted to give you kudos for saying that you would do that, because I do that. And I know many other people that do, to try to support what's happening and helping change our whole country, not just one state, but one state at a time is better than nothing. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome. And I can't see your hand. So if you want to, I'm going to keep this open a bit longer. If you want to drop down and come back up, Janet, because I don't know if Gemini can see it. I can't see your hand if it's up or down, or if you're waving. So it's up to you. No biggie. No, I do encourage that. You know, I gave money to Joe Kent in 2022. I told you guys that the last space I had about a couple weeks ago, because I thought he was a great candidate, and it's really hard to get Republicans elected in Washington State, where he's from, and he lost both times. So I think that is, and his claim to fame. He beat in a Republican primary the first time he ran in 2020, I think. I'm sorry, in 2022, against this woman named Jamie Herrera Butler, who is a rhino who voted to impeach President Trump, I think. She was on that Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney. So the guy had momentum. I don't know how and that was the rare Republican district in the greater Seattle area, or Tacoma, wherever or Spokane. I don't know what part of Washington he was in, but that was a rare red area. And it's funny, it's gotten bluer the last two times Joe Kent has ran for Congress. So he destabilized like the only Republican district in Washington State. So congratulations, Joe. Stellar military career, but politics is not your thing, homeboy, on any level. And as I've told you guys, there's only two things that could be corrupting him, and it's M&P, as you know. There's two things that will make a man go sideways, and it's for the new people in here. This is my crass take. It's money and pussy. Those are the only two things that make men do crazy things. They're either manipulated by money or power. You could money/power. They're kind of one and the same. Okay, money doesn't necessarily give you power, but it makes life easier. I can tell you that much right now.
Hey,
Hence
Gads,
Yep.
Nancy for Liberty has her hand up. I don't know if you can see that. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I see her. I'll get there in a second. So, yeah, that's where we're at, guys. And I think it's super important that we don't lose sight of these basic things that people are overlooking. Because he had a stellar military career doesn't mean he can't be corrupted by something. All right. And it is what it is, guys. I mean, he has not, I am open-minded. He has not presented he's not articulated his position. What happens is he's capitalizing on the fact a lot of people have pliable minds at this moment, and they believe that President Trump is, et cetera, was manipulated into this military action. And so as I said, he's capitalizing on that. But the problem is, with all arguments not based in truth, is he's run out of steam. Like you have to admit that, even if you want to. I understand, guys. There is a temptation that you want to believe Joe Kent, because I don't know. He's handsome. He's a warrior for our country. He lost his first wife in combat. He's a Gold Star husband. He's central casting. I understand why you want to believe him. And a lot of people, a lot of Republicans, this isn't what I voted for. I understand all. I don't agree with you, but I accept that you feel that way. But again, because this guy is validating your theory doesn't mean he's correct. And don't take my word for it. Time will be the judge, friends. I mean, his resignation letter was unprofessional, and it put Tulsi Gabbard in a terrible position. And who benefits from that? The Democrats, guys. And even people on our side. Laura Loomer has like a fucking hard-on for Tulsi Gabbard. She wants her out of that administration. I personally think she's jealous of her. Tulsi's the real deal, guys. I have not met her personally, but when she ran for president in 2020, they're not like guys I hang out with, but guys I see at the beach and guys in the surfing community, these guys are not easily manipulated by politics. And they said, I don't know if I would vote for her, but she is genuine. She is the real deal. Okay. And I take the surfing and yoga community's opinions to heart, because they're not naive. They have really good, they're anti-establishment by nature. They have excellent bullshit meters. And they said, she might be on the left, and I don't really like her take on guns, but she is not your typical politician. I had Republicans tell me that. I had Democrats tell me that, and independents tell me that. Everybody respects her as a woman, and everybody acknowledges she loves her. And by the way, she's been in the military her entire adult life. She's not a combat veteran, but she's a veteran. And she puts her money where her mouth is. So I really the burden of proof is on Laura Loomer. And the fact that I think she protected Joe Kent because she felt sorry for him. Because she's a fellow soldier, a fellow veteran. His wife was tragically killed at the tail end of our withdrawal from Syria and dealing with ISIS and all that. All right. I honestly think she gave him every opportunity to do the right thing, and he did the wrong thing. So that's where I'm at. Gemini, you could pop in whenever, but I'll go to Nancy in the meantime.
Could you have somebody before me? I got somebody at the door, please.
Yep, no problem. So nobody's on the mic. So what are we doing? 11 o'clock. So like 15 more minutes, guys.
Can I weigh in on the Tulsi thing?
Yep.
So I remember you really liking Tulsi because she's your type. We know your type. And I thought, okay, is he making a decision here based on, his type? But I have to say, she has been a huge surprise. And I think when they put her, didn't they put her on a no-fly list? That was just like, brought out the warrior woman in her. It was like, the hell you say? What? Didn't she get on a no-fly list or something, or a special
Biden,
screening or something?
No fly list by Biden. So like 2022, 2023, she couldn't fly commercial. That sucks when you live in Hawaii, by the way. You're kind of trapped there, It's not like you can get in a car and drive from Pennsylvania to Michigan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Macy Hirono says you can take the train. It's okay, guys. There's a train.
Yeah, exactly. From Honolulu. Yeah, it makes sense to me. No, she is. When I say by the way, we have the same birthday, and our birthdays our 47th birthdays are Sunday, Tulsi and I. So she's my birthday sister.
No, she is my type because she reminds me a lot of the chicks I grew up with. And I've been to Hawaii, and I got to tell you guys, there's somebody I've been to Hawaii 3 times in my life. And I've been to like I think 4 islands: the Big Island, Kauai, Oahu, and Maui. Okay, not recently. I haven't been to Hawaii in some time, but I have to tell you, I even though they're very left wing politically, the Hawaiian people are people I can break bread with. Not just for our love of the ocean and all that. And I was much bigger into surfing back then. I had more time for it back then, but it was just more so. I can work with them, right? The Hawaiian people, Hawaiian, of course, is not a nationality. It's a mixture of people, like Polynesian backgrounds and what have you. But and Tulsi herself is half Samoan, half Irish, so she's got a very exotic look to her. I like her voice. That is a very common Hawaiian accent. Um, they never grow out of that. So yeah, she's just I think she's one of the few people on the left that I could deal with because I think she's a sincere person. So and I like the job she's doing. I think I think a lot of women like Laura Luma are turned off by her because she's doesn't fuck around, and I think that intimidates a lot of women, just like a lot of men like Tucker Carlson who are insecure are intimidated by Trump. That's why I think Trump and Tulsi have a connection. They've both been persecuted. Okay. Tulsi was thrown out of the Democrat Party. Trump was left for dead, politically speaking, a few years ago. They were, you're telling me Mitch McConnell was hoping that he'd go to jail? Of course he was, right? So you have all that built up animosity towards people in your own party that are supposed to have your ass, right? So that explains the connection. But let me wrap this up because I got like 10 minutes here. I'm getting a late start to work today, but that's okay. So I just want to tell you guys, I just pulled over because there's a Costco parking lot I'm at right now because I am actually going to get gas here. And it is $3.67 a gallon for unleaded. Okay, and my tank is half full. So I'm going to just double that, and I'll let you know what I spend here. I know approximately what it's going to be. But more to the point, guys, I need you to stop listening to the CHUDS on whether they have big platforms, small, or anything in between on this war, because there's a lot of corrective action that has to be taken. Iran never closed. Let me just, because people are bouncing in and out of this space. I'm sorry if this is repetitive. Let's get some facts out here before people go crazy. The Strait of Hormuz was never closed by Iran. Okay. Now, what was the negative action they took? Well, they mined the coasts and all that. So they made it so you had to bottleneck so you don't get blown up. And Lloyd's of London and the other big European insurance companies raised the fee on insurance rates during a hazardous time. That's obvious. Okay, but they didn't stop the insurance on oil tankers. They just raised the rate that made it not economic at this time, given the attacks on Iran. Okay, so there's no fucking gate that was put up by the IRGC that says, "Oh, Trump wrote a bad Truth Social post about us. I'm going to just put a row of barges with the Iranian flag on. Okay, the strait's closed. Okay, Israel stopped attacking us for one night. Okay, let's open the gate because the Zionists and the American devils are being nice to us for one day." It didn't work like that, guys. By the way, you're forgetting 2 weeks ago. I don't know if he's dead, but I think the member of parliament in Tehran gave Trump 10 oil tankers filled with oil to kind of smooth things out during that 10-day window. You remember that, right? How do you think those left the Strait of Hormuz? So again, the strait was never closed. I understand you're going to be saying, Gads, you're splitting hairs, because if the thing is mined and there's a tax going on, it's not really smart for Japan or South Korea or England to put the risk of an oil tanker, because if it gets hit by a one-way drone, their Lloyd's of London insurance company is not going to insure their loss. Not to mention the political damage in that country, the fallout. Okay, but that is true. But again, you're making an excuse for the facts. The strait was never closed. Okay, there was no gate up. It's not the Suez Canal. There's not locks. You guys know what locks are. There's no gate. Okay, so let's get that straight. I understand they made business next to impossible. It is still not a closure. Okay, just so you know, Iran exports oil. Okay, or they control the export of oil. They need that money too. Okay, Iran does not, like, sell soybeans to China, or they don't have like agricultural crops that they export to the world. Their business is the profit of oil. Okay, so because people are undereducated on what is going on. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, people are wondering why Trump is mad at NATO. Well, why should the Brits and the big bad Royal Navy that I've been hearing stories about my whole life, which is a depleted fleet at best, why should, Trump broke it. Why the fuck should France? Well, because the United States, we get our oil domestically, or we get it from Mexico or Canada, and now Venezuela. We don't like, what was it, 5%? It's single digits. We don't like benefit from Suez Canal exports of crude oil. Okay, so we're kind of doing a favor for Western Europe, like we've been doing for 100 years since World War I, and that is saving their ass. And saving their sorry asses, I would like to footnote. Okay, so this is why Trump had Mark Rutte in the Oval yesterday, because he's saying, look, I've done the heavy lifting. My plan is to have this sewn up with an agreement and an economic rebuild of some magnitude before I go to Beijing in about a month. And you need to tell the Brits, you need to tell, and I got to tell you guys, the relationship between the United States and Britain is that it's ironic in the 250th year of our founding. It could not be lower than it is right now. Okay, it's always low in my area because I'm not in the Anglosphere. Okay, I'm northern Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. We're in the Francosphere of the United States. Okay, we are not, we're not a bunch of Scottish Episcopalians running around here. We are French descent Catholics who have long had hatred of WASPs and Anglo-Saxon Protestants, right? So you're not going to find any even the left-wing people. You're not going to find any fan of the UK in New England, okay? Because of the fact of our background, okay? We're different religion than the Protestants. We're non-Anglo-Saxon Caucasians here. Some of us mixed with, with Micmac Indian or whatever. We are not fans of the Brits in New England at all. Okay. Remember where the revolution started. Remember where the founding fathers were from. Okay. So we're at an all-time low within a relationship with Great Britain. And they come off looking terrible because Keir Starmer, who's the prime minister of the UK, is fundamentally not a patriot. And I don't mean he has to cheerlead for the US because it's not his country. He's fundamentally not a patriot of the West. And he's another one the reason why they don't want to help the United States is one is TDS. Number two, it's because they want to continue to appease Iran, because the problem is they have issues in their own countries with Islam, and it's at a fever pitch where if the SAS or whatever did an operation with the 82nd Airborne, you would probably have Pakistani and Arab gangs in London and Liverpool burn the fucking shit to the ground. That's why it's not an excuse. In fact, it's pathetic that they're in this position. But that is why Keir Starmer can't do fuck all right now, because he has a problem with Islam in his country, and they're in denial about Trump being president, and they're in denial about the issues when you allow. Did you know all the cities in the UK, guys, have either Pakistani or Arab mayors? So London, Liverpool, Birmingham, I think even Edinburgh or Glasgow has an Arab Muslim mayor. Like, they are under siege with Islam right now in the UK. So while it's not an excuse, like the Islamic gangs in the UK are like Antifa and BLM in Chicago and New York and Boston and Philadelphia. Like, there's a reason why the Democrat governors of these states don't do anything, because if Gavin Newsom said, yeah, Trump, fucking bomb Iran back to ancient Persia, okay? Antifa and BLM would burn what's left of Los Angeles to the ground. It's the same thing in Britain. Keir Starmer, because he's a big pussy, he can't say, we don't approve of the Iranians having access to nuclear material, because all the Pakistanis and Afghanis and Algerians that are in London and Birmingham would fucking burn the cities to the ground. They have strength in numbers, and they're not afraid of the police. So for those of you again, I'm going to leave you with this, because I'm going to shut this down in a second. Those of you upset about gas prices, you shouldn't be blaming Trump. You should be blaming NATO. And let's be honest, by NATO, I mean London. I don't care about Paris and London, okay? They are the ones underwriting the insurance policies for these oil tankers, and not just for the European vessels. Like I said, I haven't done the homework. I'm sure the Japanese use Lloyd's of London. I'm sure the South Koreans do. Maybe the Gulf states, maybe Saudi does, Qatar. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm just telling you, the reason why Trump is going to come down hard on NATO is because of the fact that they want the United States with our blood and treasure to do the heavy lifting of oil we don't even benefit from, and we're going to save them from a nuclear strike. By the way, that potential nuclear strike, that long-range missile, where did they aim it towards? Was it Paris or London? I can't remember. So if you're listening to me right now, or if you listen to this on the recording, your problem is not Donald Trump. Okay, your problem is the city of London, and I don't want to hear globalist. No, your problem is the fact that the militaries, well, particularly the navies and the air forces of Western Europe, have dwindled. Okay, they're basically not relevant anymore, and that they're so cowardice that they won't help out in this operation. And by helping out, we just need them to bring minesweepers in. We don't need British and Scottish boys to die. We just need their Navy vessels that can do a little bit of they can kind of pitch in. So yeah, I would expect up to not the United States leaving NATO, but kind of a pay for play situation in NATO, where, why should we be paying all this? We have all these ungrateful European countries that agreed to a 2% increase, which they still haven't done. Spain has not increased. They don't even pay 1%. As far as I know, the only countries that are not in deficit in NATO, guys, are like us, Poland, Hungary, I can't remember the other ones, but I can tell you who's who's in deficit. Spain, Canada, fucking France, I believe. Germany was criminally underpaying. It's ridiculous. Heritage, you got to go quick if you want to go, bud, because I gotta close this, guys. It's a good space. Go ahead, man.
Thanks. I was just going to ask, I guess it might make it longer, but I was going to ask why you think that Europe or NATO should be involved in a war of choice.
I don't know when you popped in. I just laid that out. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Mainly because they're the ones that get the crude oil via the Strait of Hormuz. Secondly, NATO is a defense situation. Okay, we're defending against Iran's autonomy in the region. And thirdly, they don't pay, and we're paying. And I've got relatives in my family that were stationed in Europe, and I hope we pull all of our bases out of there. Because you really
I
have
was
to.
going to mention one small thing about the mining. The mines
Go
are
ahead.
a small part of it. The big thing that even if we take their coastal territory, their military bases like Karg Island and other places like that, they would be able to hit any ship with a missile, drone, anything. Mines are a small part to play with
Yeah,
closing the strait.
also mentioned by me. This is recorded, so if I did lay all this out. I understand the risks I understand that the Iranian regime essentially made business impossible, but I'm trying to clean up the incorrect rhetoric by a lot of chuds on this app, dude. Like people saying, well, they closed the strait, and people are telling me, people are assuming that there's a oceanic gate at the end of the Strait of Hormuz that, we got, the Jews bombed us last night in Tehran, so we're going to close the gate tonight. And, it's not like that. Yes, the mines, exactly. The mines on the coast are a small part. Perfect job for the Royal Navy with their depleted minesweepers. That's the whole situation. A war of choice. Well, if the Brits don't see and they already fired off a missile to prove the validity of the interballistic missiles. If there's a missile headed for Paris and London and they still don't want to get on board, that's not a Trump problem. That's fucking suicide, in my opinion. Because that missile that long-range missile that they fired off a few weeks ago that could be easily armed with nuclear material if they get there. And it's not an if, it seems like it was a matter of when, to be clear. That missile did not go to Tel Aviv, and it didn't go to Washington, D.C. It went right to Fortress Europa. And I think it was London. If it was Paris, you guys can correct me in the comments. And they still are not getting off their hands. So, a skeptic would say it's a war of choice. I would say it's a war of survival. So I would take that as the Keir Starmer and Emmanuel Macron obviously have some sort of are in some sort of suicidal death cult of inaction. I can leave no other conclusion than that. And the fact that Mark Rutte has to go to Washington and kiss Trump's ass shows me that Europe is lost. That Keir Starmer won't even go to Washington and advocate for himself. Macron won't even go to Washington. Not that Trump will listen to them. But you still got to, where's your manhood, UK? Where's your manhood, France? Did your fucking balls fall off last night at the soccer game? What the fuck? Don't you care about your people? Forget TD. I understand Europe as TD. I'm not trying to make the argument that Europe should not have TDS. They have uncurable TDS. I realize that. It's not going to change. But for fuck's sake, they can reach the British Isles. When are you going to act? So when Trump is saying Neville Chamberlain, that's not really tongue in cheek. So what's happening is Britain doesn't want to negotiate with Iran, Iran being the lion, because their head is already in the lion's mouth. That's all. Guys, it was a good space. I'm sorry I couldn't go longer, but it's like recorded stuff. 30 seconds, Steph. Go ahead. I got to go.
Okay. They're uncovering all this debt. California is the latest one, really big. Why can't we throw that on our debt?
Too long of an answer. I can't give you that in the seconds I got left here, Steph. But all right, guys, have a great day. Take care. Thanks for your patience. And Gemini, thanks for helping out.
If you voted for Donald Trump, that means that you stand for everything that is going on in our country right now. That you stand for all these tariffs, that you stand for this mass deportation, that you stand for getting men out of women's sports. I mean, the list goes on and on. You actually stand for this. If you voted for Trump, you actually stand for this. And if you voted for Trump, I just want to say that I love you and thank you so much for saving this country. Have a blessed day.